Hi friends, welcome to my channel and the last video in the series for the Decan journey, and this time I'm looking at the Six of Cups. So I've been through a whole year now and done all of the minor cards. What an achievement. Pat me on the back. Yeah, it's been a journey. Anyway, I will probably talk about that in another video and how this journey has developed my learning style. But for today we're talking about the Six of Cups, and this runs from approximately the 2nd to the 12th of November. So it's just finished basically. And I like to do these, I mean, at the beginning when I started this series, I think I was doing it from the beginning of the Decan time on the wheel, on the Decanic Wheel, and then as I went on I started to do it towards the end, so I could actually see how it played out in my day-to-day life, because I thought that was a lot more useful doing it that way rather than in sort of a predictive way. I don't think it works in a predictive way, but I think it works in a way of personalising the cards. Anyway, as I said, I'll probably talk about that in another video. So yeah, the Six of Cups. So if you're unfamiliar with the Decan journey, it is an astrology based system through, I think, the Golden Dawn, and it assigns the minor cards and other cards, actually, not just the minor cards, but it's the minor cards I'm talking about in this series. It assigns them to specific times on the wheel, and as I said, this one is between the 2nd and the 12th of November, which means it's in Scorpio, because that's where we are in the astrological wheel at the moment. We've gone into Scorpio now. And this is the 2nd Decan of Scorpio. I actually did the 3rd Decan of Scorpio last November, which is the one that I started on. So the assigned cards to this in that system are Death and the Sun. And these videos are my research, my reading, you know, all my sort of research on how these two cards influence the meaning of the minor card. So how the astrology, this is, as I said, Scorpio, so we're talking about the Death card, which is assigned to Scorpio, and the Sun, which is the planetary association. So we have the Sun in Scorpio. So in order to understand these cards, it is a good idea to look at the astrology. And I've used various astrological decks for this. And one of them is the Black Moon Astrology, which I think is a really good one. This is by Susan Shepherd. Here we go. And although the imagery isn't my cup of tea really, the guidebook is really good. So as I said, we've got the Sun in Scorpio, so there we go, Sun in Scorpio. It looks quite fiery energy, doesn't it? And there's a reason for that, which I will get onto a little bit later. But, heads up, it's all about sex. So yeah, let's just have a little look at the Sun. Now, the interesting thing about the Sun, and we can see it quite clearly on the Thoth card, is the planets revolve, or the astrological signs revolve around that Sun on this card. So if you look, obviously this is a tiny version, but if you look, you can probably see the astrological signs all around the edge there. And it's interesting really, isn't it, when we look at our star signs. We actually don't look at our star signs, do we? We look at our sun sign. So the first place we go is our sun sign. So let's have a look at what it says a little bit. I'm not going into too much because this is a really in-depth book, but it says about the Sun. Let's find it. There we go. Spirit. It calls it spirit. And it says there is a vitality, a life force, an energy, a quickening that is translated through you into action. And because there is only one of you in all time, this expression is unique. And this is a Martha Graham quote. It says the Sun is at the centre of our lives, just as it is traditionally in the astrological chart. This is why the placement of the sun is the most significant. The sun is our spirit, our personality. It represents the animating flash of life, and there's a clue to why there's a association with creativity. And also, if we think about water, because the cups is a water suit, then that is also about creativity and life force. So the two go together really well. But what I found really interesting in this first passage, it is also the need to express who we are. In ancient belief, the sun is Amun-Ra, the god among all gods, whose name leads to Amen, the word at the end of a prayer. And Amen, I think, means and so it is. And so it is. Right. So Scorpio is a transformation card. I transform. And here I think we can see a little bit of the sex at the bottom of the card going on there. And I have talked about Scorpio before. If you look at the last Decan, I talked about it there as well. It's all about pleasure in the Thoth card. And Scorpio, as I said, is transformation, and transformation into unknown territory. We're also associating these cards with the Tree of Life. Now then, this is the Tree of Life Oracle here by David Wells, which is really, really good. And here we've got an image of what the Tree of Life is with the planets. And so the interesting thing that I wanted to bring up here is this is where the sun is. This is where the sun resides, which is smack bang in the middle, and you can also see it's in the centre of the body as well, radiating out to all the other, you see these paths here. So if we're talking about creativity and we're talking about life, we need water, we need the sun. So we have the element of water for the cup suit, we have this beautiful fire energy for the sun, and notice just how it echoes the actual sun card in the Rider-Waite-Smith Tarot. Interesting. And we have none other than Amun-Ra himself on the sun card. So the two decks, they actually tie in, don't they, really nicely. And then with Death, we have the Ferryman. And interesting how both Amun-Ra and the Ferryman are actually in boats. I thought that was interesting. And then also, if we look at the energies, we have fire and we have water, which I said about creativity, and they're in perfect balance. Two of each. Perfect balance. So that's the ideal energy for creativity. Now with Scorpio in the mix, that creativity tends towards the Thoth meaning of the card, which is here. So we have on the Thoth card water flowing from these lovely lotus flowers here into these beautiful golden cups. So the gold of Tiferet. We can see that the sun glyph is smack bang in the middle as well. And we've got even amount of water and sky. So everything's in perfect balance there. And that water that's flowing into the cups is not overflowing, it's perfect. So we have perfect harmony and perfect balance. And this translates into well-being, into ease, satisfaction, fulfillment and pleasure. And when we think of pleasure with Scorpio, this is when we think a little differently about the Rider-Waite-Smith image of the card. It doesn't really have the same impact, I don't think, as, or the same nuances as the Thoth card. Because if we think about water and Bria, we've got the water card here. Bring it back up. Okay, so the element of water. This is Bria on the tree of life. So we have 4 worlds. So it's the world of Bria, the world of water, and the world of Bria is all about fertility and creation. So fertility, creation, and Scorpio and sex is how all this comes together. That's how this meaning is derived for the 6 of Cups. So why does the Rider-Waite-Smith have what appears to be 2 children, one giving flowers in a cup to another one? How does that align to sex? And what we actually see here appears to be innocence, you know, childhood innocence. Well, maybe it's all about growing up. I want to sort of demonstrate this. I look at the Lightseer's Tarot to demonstrate what I'm talking about here. So, children, innocence, wide open. But if we look at the Sun card, there's a wall behind there. And there's a wall, I believe, right there as well. And so their worldview is limited, shall we say. They haven't had experience of the world. They haven't known what it's like to grieve. They haven't been subject to what the world is about, which I talked a little bit about in the last video. So if we look, got this, the mini version here, and the 6 of Cups, there we go. Growing up. So, I mean, interesting, this guy's got the same sort of clothing on as a child, but this is the child and the man and the puppy and the adult dog. And when we're young and we have a puppy, like my Kai, I've got some pictures of Kai I'll put up actually, it shows us how rapidly time takes its toll, really, how precious life is, you know, how short it can be. And I think, you know, dogs really show us that. They are so innocent, they are so pure. They, as long as they're not mistreated, remain authentic. It's only if they are mistreated, if this wall is broken down and they're subject to yeah, I don't want to go too far into this, but you know, it can change them into fearful dogs and even aggressive dogs, depending on how they've been treated, how they've been cared for or not cared for or abused. So what starts off with childish innocence, we need to grow up, we need to see what's beyond the wall, if you like, and see what the world really is about in order to grow, in order to function in the world, because we can't function in the world as a puppy or as a child. Because if we do stay in that state, then we need people to help us all the way through life. We can't manage to do that on our own if we stay in this state. And so we need somebody to help us. Maybe this is what's going on here, to move out of childhood and into the real world, where there is gaps in the roof, where the rain's going to come through, where, you know, people do desert us, like this figure here walking away, you know, where things aren't as rock solid as we believe them to be, or as secure as we believe them to be when we are children. So we're growing up through this card. And yeah, we do look back at our childhood, we do look back at, with nostalgia, but rose-tinted glasses. And what is it I heard say that every time you bring up a memory, it's altered slightly, so we remember things differently to how they actually happened. So I was just looking at the Bonefire Tarot. This is the first edition, got the Angus West, and here we've got an image, I think, that really speaks to that, because we have the sun in the background, brilliant for the sun card here, and we have two figures, a youngster and an older person here. And I'm led to believe through the book that this is actually the same person. So maybe this person is looking back at their childhood and seeing how beautiful it was. We've got all this water and lotuses here. But interestingly, we have a sun castle on one side, but we have a solid structure, a home on the other side. And so maybe if we stay in childhood, all the dreams that we build are like castles in the sand. They're just going to wash away with the next incoming tide as this water reaches out. And we need to build a more solid structure in our life in order to survive this world. It's good how we've got the water sign here. It looks like a little bit of a bikini on the child. But yeah. So that's the Bonefire Tarot, Gabby Angus West. So look at Julia Jeffrey's Tarot of the Hidden Realm. I'm really looking forward to the next deck, but apparently it's going to be a later release in the UK than it actually was said to be. We're supposed to be getting it in December, but it looks like January now. So let's have a look at the Six of Cups here. Okay. So we've got the Six of Cups, and this figure is pretty much submerged in water here. And in the guidebook, let me just give you an idea of the write-up for this. It says, the figure is giving herself over to what experiences may come. There's a variety of sensations that heightens her sensitivity without overwhelming her. The pearl at her forehead, a jewel from the sea, is one she always dons for this ritual, for the reviving of memories. So we have the memory aspect of the Six of Cups there, and helps focus her mind. And we have 6 pink lotus blossoms floating past. So here we've got the lotus flowers from the Thoth card, reminding her to approach her past with love and compassion, both for herself and for others. So this is about a cleansing of spirit, a renewal of soul, and becoming grounded in the solid earthiness of reality and the strange in-between world of memory. Being washed by love, she is reborn to peace. Oh, this is where I found that quote, actually. Yeah, recent research in neurology suggests that every time we recall a memory, we change it. So the Six of Cups reminds us to think about the past, to assess it, and to come to terms with it, but to do so with love and compassion. Okay, so that aligns well to both cards. So if we look at the Mary L Tarot, this is the second edition I'm looking at here, all of the sixes are aligned to an angel. So with the Six of Cups, it is Uriel, the Archangel Uriel. And we can see here, I'm going to show you the larger picture, that Uriel is actually in the water with claws of a lobster or crustacean. So just like the one rising the traditional moon card. So the moon card is associated with all that subconscious energy. And this is our potential rising from the mud at the bottom of the ocean or lake and out into the air. In many ways this mirrors evolution from the salty sea and our journey from the womb too. So we evolve and rise from the water onto land, into life and into humanity. And I think this is where this aligns to the Thoth card and creativity and the Scorpio energy. So carrying on with that theme of water and how it aligns, you know, Bria and creativity. So looking at the Sun and Moon Tarot on the cards. So in the Sun and Moon card, it's pleasure, and pleasure is the same keyword on the Thoth card. And here we've got a couple splashing about in water and having a great time under a full moon. Yeah, it's having a lovely pleasurable time there. And then that's echoed in this one, the New Era Elements Tarot, which is also a Thoth based deck. And here we've got for the card some children splashing about in the water. I love to see that. Brilliant. It is believed that all life came from the water, isn't it? You know, we began in water, and then the sun helped us, and there's all that whole way of looking at evolution and how we came to be here. Lots of different theories. So this is sort of where the sex, the Scorpio element comes into it, the dark, you know, if we go deep into water, it's quite dark, isn't it? And I think this is where the Scorpio energy also comes in. Let's have a look at Tarot of Magical Correspondences. Not too many more decks to look at, but we'll just have a look at a few. And I like this one because it has, like it says, all the magical correspondences. So we've got the children here. We've got a teddy bear. She's lovely, isn't it? And it tells us here it's in Tiferet. And here we've got the tetra. I think that's a tetra. I can't say it. Tetragram. Yeah, there's lots of different symbols on here that mean different things. We even have some fire there. And we've got the Tree of Life in the background, and Tiferet is highlighted there for the card. And it says, vision of harmony of things. And then we've got the Sun and Scorpio there. Intelligence of mediating influence. Yeah. Okay, so that's... And the guidebook isn't brilliant on this one, unfortunately. I would have liked more information. However, nice image. And then I wanted to look at a real Thoth-based deck, which is Liber T. And this shows, as long as it doesn't offend anybody, hopefully. We still have the same sort of image from the Thoth card at the bottom here. And these all came from the Golden Dawn system, so it's all the same teachings. But above, we have people copulating. Yeah, so we've got the Great Sea of Bria here, which is all about creativity, as I said. And creativity is definitely going on here, isn't it? You know, new life will burst forth from these couplings, presumably. Or is it just for pure pleasure? Or, as it's actually in the Urban Tarot, and I'll just read a bit from there just to illustrate what I'm thinking, is, yes, children are innocent, but sometimes sex can be innocent as well, as in freeing, as in without shame. Yeah, not feeling the shame that society instills in us where sex is concerned. So here is the Urban Tarot. See, I've shown this in a few of the videos. It's a really good deck, this. And here we have, the sex is shown here, but in a very subtle way. And I like the way that the glasses are filled with golden liquid, echoing that sun energy there. So I just want to read a little bit from the guidebook, because I think it illustrates the concept of innocence in relation to the card. So the Six of Cups represents pleasure, and yes, it's certainly the sex card, but the cups are not concerned with simple physical pleasure. The element of water is about the emotional dimension and the power of the bonds we form with each other. So this card represents not just any sex, it's perfect sex. It's the kind of sex that brings you closer to your partner, that deepens and renews the love between you. This card often has connotations of fertility and kindness and innocence, and I see that as part of the same idea. The Six of Cups represents sexuality without guilt or shame. the sex that you can feel entirely good about. It is perhaps best imagined as that idealised wedding night sex on clean white silk sheets. So that's where they come together, these two cards. So yeah, it's about looking back at memories and, you know, rose-tinted glasses, and maybe it is that perfect love, that first love, that knight in shining armour, yeah, that we had to kill that idea, maybe. That's another way of thinking about it. And it's interesting how I've just purchased the Goddess of Love Tarot in Scorpio season. I did a walkthrough of this, and it's proving to be a very interesting deck that I'm enjoying working with. And so finally, as I always do, we're going to look at the associated crystals for this Decan, as prescribed by Kerry Ward and illustrated by Claire Gregory in the Crystal Magic Tarot. Now, unfortunately, I don't have pink opal, and pink opal is the card assigned to this card. It's the crystal assigned to this card, and it looks very innocent there, doesn't it? Very pink. And the Goddess of Love Tarot is very pink. We have Jet for death, and we have Citrine for the sun. So we have some Citrine, which I've shown before, and then that Jet that I showed in the last Decan video. So pink opal, I'll have to put a image up above for that one. So what does it actually say for pink opal in the guidebook? Let's have a look. A stone of mysticism, love and happiness. This is said to amplify emotions and bring optimism and positivity, lightness and spontaneity. This crystal can help you to see your full potential, and it amplifies your self-worth. Pink opal is an especially joyous stone, helping to lift even the darkest mood and bring back childlike wonder and a playful spirit. In times of depression or sadness, pink opal can strengthen the will to live and be a reminder of how joyful life can be. So we've just had Remembrance Sunday. We actually, on Saturday, we actually went up, and the same as last year, I'll put a little couple of videos here, remembering those that gave their lives for us so that we could enjoy an innocent childhood, so that we could have the gift of life, that we could have generations coming after us to enjoy what these brave soldiers fought for. And I am eternally grateful to all those wonderful, brave souls that gave their lives so that we could have ours, future generations. So I'll end here. I'm ending where I began last year with, my deepest gratitude to those that died in the wars and continue to fight for our freedom. And on that note, I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful day and sweet memories. Thank you so much for watching my series. Until the next video, bye friends, bye.
Seldom of us decide